Are these the best grips you can get out there on the mountain biking market? Well, we're going to take a look at the Revolution suspension grips coming right up on Outdoor Gold.
1993!
Today we're going to review the Rev Grips and why they are my favorite grips out on the open market, but more specifically the Pro Series. First, I'd like to preface my review by saying that I'm an average everyday rider. I ride multiple times a week, and that is where I'm basing all this data off of. No racing, no timed and empirical data. So all that aside, all my points and opinions are going to be observation based. When it comes to points of contact on your bike, grips are really important. And one of the common problems I've had over the years with grips, especially standard rigid grips, had been hand fatigue and arm pump. I've tried Ergon, I've tried ESI, Wolftooth Fat Paws. All of them kind of have the same problem, and I'm not going out to say that they're bad grips, but you're still going to get hand fatigue as well as arm pump. And this is really most apparent whenever I'd be at the bike park where you're going downhill for long stretches, or even trails like the whole enchilada where you do have an 8,000 foot descent ahead of you. At the end of those rides, my hands would be really sore. I actually stumbled onto these Rev Grips thanks to a lead from my friend Brandon at Ruby Canyon Cycles. Just to let you guys know, there will be links in the description for Rev Grips on Jensen, USA, and you could get them locally here in Grand Junction or Fruita at Ruby Canyon or CBB, Colorado Backcountry Biker in Fruita. Now, honestly, when I first saw the price tag for Revolution grips at $89.99, we'll just reference it at $90 from here on out, I was like, man, that is expensive for grips. Most rigid grips run $40, $30, etc., even cheaper. I was actually sold on these grips when I tried them on the manager at Ruby Canyon's Yeti SB6. They really felt unique, and I had to give them a try. $90, are they worth it? So what does Revolution Suspension Grips claim about their product? Well, number one, you could read it right on the box, zero compromise. It's got a pretty simple installation. It is way more difficult than standard grip installs. They're pretty tacky, they have good control, easily tunable, which that's one really unique feature of these grips is they're tunable. Less hand fatigue, vibration, lighter weight, more comfort, and less arm pump, which are big issues in mountain biking. So what really sets these grips apart is they're actually floating. So here I actually have a grip, and you can see it goes right over the handlebar and it floats just like that, which is really unique in between two clamps, and you'll see that in the slideshow. Now, the metal clamps aren't really the only part that you're going to be dealing with. There are also these rubber gaskets, and they're called inserts, as well as tuning washers that you basically have to use to customize your feel of your grips. And I'll give you a quick brief install because it kind of helps with understanding how these things work. First off, you're going to put the tuning washers on both ends of each grip. You do this by finding the tuning washer that is detailed to the tune that you want, specified in the installation details. So there's going to be two sizes, and it's kind of hard to determine which size is the one you want. But overall, if you want the thick size, you could just give it a squeeze, and if it's stiffer than the other tuning washer, that's the one. And then followed by putting the rubber gasket inserts onto the four holders, if you will, on the outside. That kind of holds it all together. Next, you're going to put your grip clamp on, and you're going to want to put it a ways down just to give yourself some room. You might have to move your brake lever over. Immediately after that, you're going to put the grip on, make sure that it's clear and pass flush, as well as the second grip clamp. At this point, you're going to cinch down the end cap at the very end. You're going to pack this thing, wiggling around, may work a little bit for getting it together. And finally, you're going to take this whole thing and push it up against the end cap. That way, you don't have any space in the tuning washers, because otherwise that would defeat the purpose of having tuning washers if there's a space in there. And you torque all that stuff down with the Allen wrenches that they provide you, and you're good to go. The nice part about this install is it doesn't involve any hairspray, air compressors, or rubber mallets. So the reason I showed you this install is basically you need to know this going forward in terms of there's a lot of parts involved, and that's part of the review. Honestly, you are not going to buy these things if they don't actually perform. And a common question that I get is, do you actually feel a difference when you're using the Rev Grips on your handlebars? Now that we've seen the install, let's talk about the positive impacts of buying and owning Rev Grips. Number one, at $89.95, these grips have to come as advertised for that price. And the most important component of that is performance. Do they really perform? In my experience with the Rev Grips, yes, they absolutely do perform. There's less hand fatigue and less arm pump, especially over time, longer rides, and big downhills. This is most notable at days at the park where you're just bombing down downhill trails all day, and longer rides such as the 8,000 foot descent of the whole enchilada in Moab. And the really long descents aside, they really do shine in really short, chunky sections. Next, the grips feel totally awesome. They're very tacky and they maintain a very high level of positive contact. And honestly, I love the way they feel. We'll talk about rubber compounds and actually wear durability later. But speaking of durability, in a crash situation, these things really do shine. They did an excellent job of designing these grips, the end caps especially. But I've put these through wreck after wreck after wreck, and they just keep getting back up for more. This is really a testament to the high quality bar end caps as well as the grip clamps. Overall, the system is really intuitive, and one of my favorite parts and most unique parts of these grips is everything is replaceable. Replacement parts on the Rev Grips website include everything from bar end caps to clamps to grips to tuning washers to inserts, and a variety of inserts at that. And because everything is replaceable, you can really spread the cost of these grips out over time. The $90 upfront cost is kind of a one-time deal. After that, you're looking at $25 grips, $10 insert replacements, etc. Finally, there are a lot of customizable options. You can get a variety of colors for clamps, grips, tuning inserts, all the above. You can really customize and rig this thing out the way you want. Rev Grips also offers a race series, which is actually cheaper than the Pro series that I'm reviewing. The compounds on them are overall pretty good. I've never really had any issues with them in terms of I take a wreck and I have problems right off the bat. But the compounds on the smaller sizes of Rev Grips seem to kind of wear a little faster than the larger compounds, and we'll dig into that just a little bit. Up to this point, I've had a lot of good things to say about the Rev Grips, but let's talk about some drawbacks. And an important note to make about the drawbacks is that they are really, really light, considering it's kind of a nature of the beast type of criticism. Number one, there are a lot of parts, and as you've seen in the install, this is not exactly a minimalist setup. And since there are so many parts, I recommend keeping some spare inserts and tuning washers in your flats kit, just in case you have to take the grips off on the trail, which you should never have to do. Not only should you keep parts in your flats kit, but you should also keep them in your regular stock of spare parts, just in case. These grips also require a little bit of maintenance to maintain that high performance. Be sure to clean out the clamps and the rubber inserts every once in a while. You can do some preventative maintenance by not dumping your handlebars into soft dirt or mud, where that debris can build up into clamps over time. All in all, you're generally looking at actually having to maintain your grips and longer install times, which still kind of beats out foam. But notice this, none of these criticisms have anything to do with performance. And it's that positive, high performance that creates the nature of the beast, where you have to establish a level of preparedness while also maintaining and upkeeping your grips. Okay, so what's my opinion? Are they worth it? Are they the best grips ever? And to me, absolutely yes. They are, in fact, the best grips that I've ever had. The performance is top-notch and noticeable, especially at the bike park, when I'm blasting through gnarly, rocky, chunky sections and rides with long descents. I also love being able to tune my grips. That's something that you really don't get with any other product out there. And overall, they're pretty durable. I mean, I've gone through wreck after wreck after wreck, and that was not a reason why I ever had to change out the grips themselves. I only had to change out the grips based on wear. The other thing is that you could really maximize your wear on these things, since they're not asymmetrical. If you wear out one end right here, you can just flip it over and get some more life out of another opposite end. overall, I mean, they've been great. You have multiple options. You could pick a grip size. You have large, you have medium, you have extra large, I believe. And so this one right here is actually a 34 millimeter. And I started out with the medium ones. But kind of a pro tip was that the mediums don't seem like they were as durable or they lasted as long as the large grips did. So this large right here has a really nice kind of square compound. So it takes longer to wear through those. Whereas the medium, they kind of have a more pyramid texture. And those grips just didn't really seem to last or do as well as the large ones in terms of durability. So I would definitely look into the large grips. They're not really that much more different than foam grips. As we're getting ready to wrap this thing up, we're going to boil it down, reduce it just a little bit. The Rev Grips are all about customization and tunability. So how do I rate the Rev Grips? Well, number one, they're A+. There's really not that much to say bad about them unless there's operator error involved. They're durable. They really deliver their value, and they deliver their value over time. And then finally, you just get the performance that you desire from them. So who are these grips for? Well, in my opinion, I think it really boils down to they're for everybody. But I think the people that are going to benefit the most are going to be people that have had a history of hand and wrist injuries, as well as a lot of people that are primarily doing a lot of downhill biking. But for bikers that ride at slower speeds, a lot of flow, and not a lot of chunky trails, these things are really going to have a hard time shining in that kind of environment, in my opinion. Finally, the rubber compound on the grip is really tacky. I've never had any issues with my hands sliding around on them. Also, keep in mind that I think the best glove to grip combo for these is using a minimalist glove like a Tasco or a hand-up glove where you can have a flat leather palm. You have a really nice feel with that setup, and I absolutely love it. This is Matt Biking Gold, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fanboy of the Rev Grips, and I'd highly recommend that you look into a pair. If you enjoy the content, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps this channel out a lot. I can't thank you guys enough. So let me know down in the comments, what are your favorite grips? And would you be interested in trying Rev Grips? I'm actually really curious to know what you're looking for in grips, just for fun. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on down the road.
That was loose.
That was loose.
Holy cow.